Hey, my name's Brendan Small, and I'm with the band Dethklok and the TV show Metalocalypse. And we're coming to Australia, and we're coming for you.
Fantastic, brother. Thanks for joining us today, Brendan.
Absolutely. It's so nice to be here.
So, as you say, Dethklok make their way to Australia for the first time ever in not many sleeps, bro, starting in Perth on April the 2nd before hitting Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, and Adelaide, and returning to finish up in Melbourne again on April the 9th. So, the first and most pressing question is why the hell have you neglected us for so long?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I've got a good answer though.
Fine.
Yeah, well, this is a crazy project. This is a crazy project that has lasted a long time, that has had, it's been in production, it's been out of production, and then about 2 years ago we put out a movie. And a record and a film score of the movie as well. But in that time, and this is a domestic project. This is a domestic American project, and so previously no one was willing to risk going to Europe, going to Australia, going anywhere outside of the US to perform. This is the first time we've ever done it because now I'm in charge of the live music. So I wanted to make sure and take these risks and to go to I had an inkling that Australia had a fan base there. And and fortunately, the tickets are going well. We're adding shows. We've kind of graduated to bigger venues, and we're really excited. I knew that there was a fan base here because years ago I came and did some promotion for the DVDs of the show. And so yeah, it took a while, but we're doing a lot more performing than we had done ever before with this project because again, it started as a television show and it mutated into a musical project that would be its own kind of thing. And that's what's exciting about this. It's got the best of everything inside of one show that you'll see that is built to dazzle you and built to entertain you within an inch of your life. We want to spit you out onto the sidewalk exhausted with a big smile on your face.
That sounds good to me, bro. Like, it's got to be a good feeling for you, though, mate. Like, say this is your first time over here. You've already had to add more shows. You've had to upgrade venues. Like, just being able to go to the other side of the world and know that people want you. Like, it'd have to be a great feeling.
It is a really nice feeling to be wanted. I love Australia. The last time I went there, I really I got to know Sydney a little bit, Melbourne a little bit. I didn't get to know Perth at all. I got to visit through Brisbane, but I love traveling the world. I go to Europe often. I go to Italy. I just went to Austria just to go and explore and while I'm writing and working on projects. So I really like I love jumping the continent and going around. But doing it with a guitar in my hand is even more fun. And our show is a really exciting show. I'd like to tell you about it a little bit because it's not like any other heavy metal show. We play to picture, meaning we bring in a giant movie theater size screen into your venue, and every downbeat coincides with the cut because we're honoring the oeuvre of the entire piece of
Wow.
Metalocalypse.
Yeah.
So we play. So I've got Gene Hoglan on drums, legendary metal drummer who is just the perfect guy for this gig because he is driving the entire piece. And it's a complicated show for us to do as musicians. We don't look anything like the animated band, and we're not meant to. But as it turns out, we sound exactly like them.
Funny that.
So, so what you'll see on stage are a bunch of shadows, but you're going to be attracted to the big star of the show, which is the animated piece that we show you.
Very nice. Like, just for the sake of anyone out there who may not have been bludgeoned yet into the world of Dethklok, mate, like I was going to try and fill in the blanks a little, but then I realized it'd be much better coming from you. So, how would you describe your whole universe, I guess, to those that are uninitiated?
Well, the TV show, so there are a couple different tiers. There's the TV show, there's the records, and then there's what we're bringing to you, the live show, which is kind of the best of everything. The TV show is an animated comedy about the biggest entertainment act on the planet, which happens to be an extreme metal band. But the show is really about celebrityism. It's about egos, it's about a fucked up family, and it's about it's about their idiotic decisions destroying the planet. Um, it's about all that stuff, but it's meant to be a comedy. And inside of this comedy, the task for me as the show runner, the show writer, is to bring original music to each episode in addition to characters and jokes. And so each episode has original music. That was the challenge I had to put upon myself. And then each season we would put out a new record and then we'd go on tour. So each thing kind of started building this project in lots of different ways. It's a multimedia kind of a project. So the TV show itself, the music, and through the music, we kind of got to build out the lore of the TV show. We got to kind of it's world building is what it is what the music is. It's an extra layer of character, of lore, of subterranean weirdness that we give you. And each one of these things has functioned nicely. We got great ratings with the TV show. The record sold really well, and the tours did really well. We just did a big, over the last year and a half, we toured with Baby Metal here in the
Oh, yeah,
U.S. and did
sweet.
a headlining tour. That was ridiculously fun. Their show is so much fun. So our show is tons of fun. So the idea is how do we bring fun into this world and darkness and evil and and again, fire, nudity, jokes, all the stuff that makes life worth living, and guitars, of course.
That's great. I think there's a bit of a misconception out there too, especially amongst people who don't like metal, I guess, that you have to love metal to get into the show. But there's so like metal's a big part of it, but there's so much more going on in there. It's like The Simpsons with guitars.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that's the idea is that, I don't know how you discovered heavy metal. Maybe it was like how I did. I would not have gotten this deep into this world had I not met a friend of mine when I was 14 years old. A friend that lived up the street who wore, a denim jacket with patches all over it. And he said he could play guitar. And I was like, I'm interested in guitar, but it's impossible to play. After school one day, he invites me over to his house and he shows me that not only can he play me guitar, he can play guitar. He can play it kind of well, and he taught me how to play a couple of chords. And on that day, I had learned to play some Black Sabbath, and my life changed. Not only that, he showed me who Slayer was, who Metallica was, who Merciful Fate was, who, we sat there and listened to all of King Diamond's Them and read along with all the lyrics and everything, and went, "Oh my God, they're telling story with music and all this stuff." I went into the dark abyss of heavy metal and I haven't come back since. But for my brain, when I was 14 years old, that was the most exciting place I could be. And it still is just as exciting. My relationship with music and my relationship with guitar is still as strong now as it was back then. But I wouldn't have known any of that stuff if my friend hadn't taken me over to his house and shown me his record collection and played music for me. So I knew that we had this responsibility to come into everyone's living rooms on the weekends and play them something. And would that ignite an interest in heavy metal for some people? Because I know had I not gone out of the way to find it, I don't know that I'd have the same relationship with it.
Yeah,
So
right.
the coolest compliment we've gotten, especially over the past few years now that our audience has grown up, is to see, and we have so much of a younger audience now because they discovered it at later times, but to see people who said, I am now interested in guitar when I wasn't before. I'm now interested in heavy metal where I wasn't before. I took this stuff that you showed me. I looked at the people who were doing voices on the show and discovered their music from, Arch
Yeah.
Enemy to Enslaved to, to King Diamond to, Exodus to whoever we guests put in the guest slots on the show. And so the nicest part is to hear that we did kind of inspire some people to kick the door open and let the metal uh take them.
Yeah, man, that's quite romantic.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this one honestly or not, because you might get yourself in trouble. But you're just talking about the guest bands that you've had on the show. Like,
Yeah.
are there ever any like that you might have approached earlier on that told you, no, we're not going to do it because we've got no idea who you are, that have come back and wanted a shot, and you just gone,
No. First of all, like there are a lot of people that we've spoken to who never got to get on the shows just because normally what would happen is our production was here in Los Angeles in California. And when people were touring through here, we'd ask them if they could find some time to come in. And sometimes the schedules didn't work, so we'd want people and we couldn't get them or whatever. I know I was talking to Dave Mustaine for a long time and he was really interested, and it's just the schedules didn't work. Um, and then there are people who, I wouldn't fault anyone for not wanting to participate because the idea here was I know how heavy metal kids are. It's like me when I was 14. Once I learned who Metallica was, I was like, this is my band. This isn't your band. This is my band. You get protective of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that the world of heavy metal was in on this joke. So, you know, in our first episode, we put Metallica on, and then later on Cannibal Corpse, and then later on King Diamond, and then later on, you know, it's just the list keeps on building and building. And I wanted everyone to have an opportunity to be funny on terms that they thought were, you know, interesting. And not everybody wants to do that all the time. And I would understand if they wouldn't. So I would never chastise them afterwards because I've been offered roles of things that I'm like, I don't know if I'm comfortable, you know, doing that or doing this or whatever. It's all based on each individual person. Everyone is an artist after all, and they get to choose what their path is. But oftentimes the people that we chose to be a part of this show would say yes. So it worked out more to our advantage than ever our disadvantage.
That was a very diplomatic answer, mate. I applaud you for that. Very well
I
done.
feel that way too, yeah.
Yeah.
And truthfully, there wasn't someone who said, "Fuck you, I'm not doing this." They all did it, and if they didn't, you know, there was usually a scheduling issue.
Very nice. Now, yourself and Tommy created the series, premiered on August in 2006, mate. So, how long before that had you had the idea? Like, how long had it been gestating before it actually became reality?
Not long, really. I mean, it was really that show was it was the perfect time with that network with Adult Swim to fast track a show like this. It was really lucky because that network was expanding their whole kind of landscape of shows. They were interested in building more shows than they needed. And I knew that there was like a magic number of shows that they would do. And I thought, if I can get this show, if I can do 20 episodes of this show, I think we're going to have something that'll have a future. And it was a huge undertaking, and it only started in 2005. I think the show was pitched and purchased in 2005. Um, Personally, and we developed it until its air date. So
Yeah.
2004, I didn't have the idea. 2005, had the idea, sold the idea, started writing music, figuring out the characters, got the animation company together, and started realizing exactly how much work we had to do. And we definitely had a lot. It definitely was an exhausting but exciting project. So, but before I thought, you know, I worked in comedy and I was a music school student, and I would see comedians go on stage and bring their guitar, do song parodies or something. And I thought, that's really cool. I'd like to do something along those lines, but I want to do it in a way more complicated way. And that's where it all, so I knew that I wanted to do something that would be, that would mean a great deal of heavy lifting musically, you know, and a lot of just hunched over a guitar and recording and doing all that stuff. I knew that that would be the coolest way for me to do it. It would be way more work, be way more tricky, but I was up for that challenge. So I knew I wanted to do that for a long time, and then Metalocalypse happened. And I thought, this is where I'm going to pour it all into. How interesting can I make this? Can I make people come back next week? Because that's what it's like. It's like you know, you're dating a bunch of strange people at the same time, and how can you get them to stay interested in you
Yeah, sure.
from week to week?
Sure. So from the start, did you have the bigger picture mapped out, like it was going to go from the series animated to the band to touring, or did that sort of all just fall into place along the way?
You know, it was like in 2005, this conversation happened, and it was just as fast as this. Like to make a show with original music each episode, right? At the end of the season, can I take those pieces of music and turn them into full songs, full length songs? Okay, if I can do that, how could I take this on tour? You know, so that was the logic. And I thought, okay, how did the Gorillas do it? Okay, let's take a look at those videos. Okay, all right, what do they do that I like? What would I change? Okay, good. Let's keep on changing this. And so, in about a year afterwards, in 2007, that's when we first started touring. And that's when we first started trying to get the show up and running. And so from that time, from 2007 until now, we've been fine-tuning this project, adding to it, subtracting to it, swapping out songs, changing the animation, and basically fine-tuning the entire thing so that we give you the absolute best, super tight version that we can possibly give you. Comes my dog. Hello.
Hello, puppy.
Yeah.
So because of the fact that I guess essentially, into a lot of people, you're a cartoon character. You're not even a real person, I guess. Like, has, has you ever found it difficult to be taken seriously as the band side of it?
Uh, that's a good question. I don't know that I am taken seriously. And I don't know that the greatest thing about this project is that it has been an open landscape where I get to do whatever I want, and no one said, don't do this. And if they did, I didn't listen to them. And and so whatever music I think is interesting or part of this project, there's no buffer between me and the audience. I end up, if I find it interesting enough to be listened to, I'll throw it on an album or I'll put it in the show or something. And that's all I really need. I know that personally, as a musician, as a guitar player, I'm always trying to get better than I am. This is a tricky show to land. It really is. I'm part of the reason I'm still interested in doing this as much as I am is because it's such a good challenge. Because guitar wise, I did not I did not make it easy for myself. For my skill set. Like I'm still taking by the way, I still take guitar lessons.
Wow.
I had oh my God, I'm so glad I took this lesson. Jason Richardson, who's a super shredder guitar freak, a freak of nature player who was on our baby metal tour. He was opening the whole show. He came over and just corrected a couple of things in my posture and my playing. Oh, it's so much better. Little tiny things, but yeah. So I'm constantly working on that stuff. I just want to physically be able to not only just get through the show physically, but also to play it in a way that makes the audience go, yeah, nailed it. So beyond that, the only person whose respect I'm trying to get really is that stupid asshole 14-year-old version of myself.
Probably the harshest critic
Nobody
of.
else, nobody else, just that asshole that lives inside of me.
And do you think he's impressed?
No,
Judgmental
he's
little
still saying
fuck.
you can do better, dude.
Speaking of not making it easy for yourself too, mate, like you've done yourself no favors voicing three of the characters and being a singing side of another. Like, have you ever thought of getting other people in to share the workload, or are the characters too much a part of you now to sort of want to share them with anyone else?
It's a good question. I have what I'm doing right now, I can do. It's really funny. There's a place where I'm just full musician up there, and then there's a place where I have to turn into a comedian. There's one part of the show, and I think, oh my God, what am I going to say? I should have thought of this earlier. So there's a part where I have to navigate both of those things, and there are two different parts of the brain, and I have to really like flip like a lazy Susan, switch over to another part and go, okay, here I am now. But the part of making the show work is doing a lot of characters. Part of the production of the show is me being able to do Squiscard, Nathan Pickles. I do their manager, the CFO, Charles. I do their producer, Dick Nubler. I'll do like, I think I did a movie where I did maybe 14 characters, but those are the normal characters that I do. But to me, it's all part of the same fun. Do I get to do all those characters?
Yeah, yeah.
How much can I make my voice sound different from this guy to this guy? How can you? I want people that don't know much about me to never know about me, to think it's populated with a bunch of different people, you know? So, so that to me is the fun of doing this project. This project, we never had a lot of money to do it. So how much could we do? How much could I wring everything out of myself to make it into this project and not spend any extra money? That's being a producer. So I'm also interested in, I mean, doing voices is something I've been interested in since I was a kid, playing guitar since I was a kid, making comedy since I was a kid. So how can I put all my strengths in one little place and keep on milking it? But I have used Mike Keneally, who is he played guitar with Dethklok for years. I did use him as a voice, a singing voice on a 1 hour long rock opera special we did with a 50-piece orchestra for Metalocalypse. And so that did give me a little bit of relief. And in the future, if I choose to ever do any of that music again, maybe I'll bring on some other singers because that's where it starts getting tricky.
Yeah, true. I really hope I don't curse you with this question, mate, but without looking down the track, like I suppose you have to look down the track, but who do you think will retire first, the TV Dethklok or the band?
Well, the show has completed itself. In 2023, we put out the final movie, and that's kind of why we're kind kind of alive again is because
Right.
we put out a big movie, we put out a record, and and the truth is that like I think this stuff is going to live on for a while. Whether or not we are playing live will be a different story. I'm really interested in it right now. Like I said, I like a good challenge, and this presents a really good challenge every single night. And it's one where I have to like literally get into better shape to be able to do all this stuff. You know, I have to be like in good guitar shape and good physical shape and all that stuff. And right now I'm interested in all that. Um, as long as everyone can still play. The crazy thing about rock and roll is that the Rolling Stones are still playing. I remember that was like in the 80s, people were like, "Can you believe these guys are in their 40s and still playing?" They're in
50
their
years
80s.
later. But they don't play
What?
metal. They don't play
Yeah.
metal.
Yeah, they don't play, you're right. They don't play metal. And metal is like, oh man, you gotta keep all your muscles tight. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But Metallica's still playing. Metallica's, they're not that old, but Metallica's playing. I saw them this past year. They sounded outstanding. They sounded better than ever.
Fantastic, Brandon. Well, thanks for your time today, bro. It's been absolute pleasure, mate. It was a lot more enjoyable than what I thought it was going to be. I sort
Aha,
of
see?